What's up guys, I'm Simon with Zeon Off-Road, and today we're going to be installing our Recon bumper on Sam's D41 Frontier. So, alright, I'm going to run that from the top.
You don't have to, I can cut it up.
No,
unless you want
I
to.
have to,
Okay,
I have
you
to.
have to.
Hey guys, I'm Simon with Zeon Off-Road, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install a Recon bumper on Sam's D41 Frontier. First thing we've got to do is uninstall the OEM bumper, and to do that, since we've got fender flares, we're also going to have to remove the fender liner, or at least partially remove it. Might just be easier to remove the whole thing. So I'm going to pop the hood, start removing the grille, and then I'm going to switch back over to the fender liners and get those removed. First thing we'll do is open the hood. Nice and easy. We got this panel to take out, so I'm going to grab just a clip tool, pop these out, or just flathead. We've got 5 torque screws that run along the top of this. I'll remove that as well, pop the grill out, and then I'll move over to those fender liners. So on Sam's truck, we don't have the active grill shutters. His is a 2022, but on some of the 2023s and up, you'll have active grill shutters that just sit right behind the grill. So the steps for that will look a little bit different, but essentially you're just going to remove all that and get it out of the way. All right, so we got that removed. I'm going to pop the grill out just on the corners. Spin that and pull it out. So Sam's got grill lights installed. Just going to unplug those. And then on the bottom edge of the grill, we're going to have kind of pull out on the grill at the same time. There's actually going to be one behind this air dam right here, so you'll pull that aside and reach down in there. Now, I think we're going to go ahead and remove the fender liner. That's going to make it much easier to remove, the entire bumper. So if you've got a stubby Phillips head screwdriver, that will make this a lot easier. Or you could just take a 1/4-inch socket and put your bit in the 1/4-inch socket. So we'll go ahead and take all these screws out on the fender flare. We got one up here. So we just removed the screws that run along the bottom side of the fender liner and the fender flare. There's clips that snap in on the fender flare, and you could maybe pull them out, but they're pretty tight. So really the reason that we're going to pull the fender liner in the first place is so that we can actually reach around to the back side of that and pop those clips from the inside so that we know we won't break them. So that's the safer option, and that's what we're going to do. So along the fender liner, you're going to have a few plastic clips just in different spots. We're going to pop all those out. This is a lot easier for us because Sam's got a 6-inch bracket lift, which pulls the wheel well pretty far away from the tire. If you don't have a lift, you might find that this is actually easier if you just pull your wheel off. Certainly you don't have to, but might make life easier for you. So I wanted to show you guys how to remove these clips, but almost all of them are missing. It's pretty straightforward. It's the same as any of the ones in the engine bay. You just pop them out. You can have these fancy clip pliers, just yank them out. We've got one left here that's of course different from what I'm describing to you, but this one you actually just pry straight out. I'm trying to, oh, there we go. That was really nice actually. So I think our fender liner is about ready to come out. Basically we're just gonna fold it and then pull it out from behind the wheel. So I'm just working this edge out from behind the fender flare. It's a little tricky, but just got patient. Oh, and then we got a bolt down here. So we're just gonna take this out and then we'll keep working the fender liner out. This, our buddy Joey's actually mirroring this all on the other side. So process is the exact same.
Hurry up. Do you have clips on this side?
Oh, we do have one clip over there. One clip. So we got one more clip. These things are hidden really well. Oh my. Insane. This is the hardest part of the install. I'm not frustrated, but a little frustrated. Just gotta work these out. Oh, there we go. This screw is hidden really well, so you want to watch out for it. There's a screw right here and a screw right here. So we'll take these out. There it is. So having this out of the way will give us a lot more room to pull the rest of the bumper out. Put this aside and we'll move on to the rest. On the front section of the fender flare, it pops out really easy. The rest of these are very hard to get without reaching the backside. So you can either pinch these with your fingers or a pair of pliers. Basically, there's little tabs that poke through the fender. They are hard to see, so you just kind of got a feel for them, but I'll show them once we got the fender flare off. There we go. Okay, next one. Okay, that one's out. So not all these clips that hold it in are the same size. Some of them are a little bigger, so just gonna squeeze that one out. But yeah, it just flares on the back side. There we go. A couple more. Nice. All right, and that is how you take the fender flare off. So that was a pain, but we did it. So this is what makes that so challenging to remove, is these little clips that poke through the actual fender are just pretty tough to squeeze. So, but that's how you get them out, is you actually reach from the backside, squeeze those one by one along the edge and pop it out one clip at a time. But on Joey's side, we're actually not gonna fully remove this, so we can show you guys how it would work in that scenario. So next thing we gotta do is pull these 3 clips out of the bumper itself. So nice and easy. And the rest of it will actually just kind of pry out from here. I think that's all the hardware holding it on. So this will vary based on, you know, truck to truck, but we're just gonna go through and check, make sure there's no more hardware. Likely places would be connecting the bumper to the skid plate. Really, that's gonna be the main concern, is the bumper connecting to the skid plate. So we'll remove those bolts, and then we should be able to pop this whole assembly off, modify it just a little bit to fit the Recon bumper back on. Of course, take out the plastic center section, and we should be good. So on Joey's side, we're gonna do this a little differently. You can pick and choose whichever one looks easier to you, but we've just popped this out just enough to get to the side of the bumper, and we just got a rag holding it here to keep it from snapping back in place while we're removing other stuff. So, oh yeah, we have to get the bolt connecting the bumper. There's gonna be a bolt right here. We'll have to remove that. We're also gonna go ahead and unplug the fog lights on both sides. So you don't push on this clip, you actually pull on it towards you, pull it down. Here, Joey, do you wanna give me a hand real quick? So if you wanna pry this out, I'll keep the fender flare. There we go. Backside. So they put a bunch of junk in here from the factory. Just go ahead and remove it. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of all this foam junk. Just put it somewhere else. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pull the radar sensor off. I'll disconnect this plug right here. Got that out. And then I'm just gonna take these 10 mils off on the front face. Set this somewhere safe. You don't want to drop it or anything like that. Keep these, just so you know. that out. We have to remove that, so we'll pry that out. There we go. Now we're ready to pull the crash bar. We'll pull this plastic thing. Doesn't function anymore. Okay, probably just toss this unless you want it for some reason. So we just took the little plastic piece off here. Now we're gonna go ahead and we've got a clip holding the wiring harness on here. We're gonna pop this out somehow. We're gonna do that. We've got a 17 and an impact, or don't have to use an impact, wrench will work just fine. Or not a wrench, but a socket, ratchet driver. So we got a 17 on here. Gonna take off the crash bar now. Yeah, we gotta pull these tow hooks and the skid plate we'll put back on afterwards. This should also be 17. We'll double check real quick. Yes. All right, so for the air dam here, I'm just gonna trim from this corner to this corner. Get that out of the way of our bumper. You can use tin snips, a saw, whatever you're feeling. These tin snips are not gonna cut it.
Quite literally.
All right, so before we mount our bumper on here, I'm gonna clean up the surface just a little bit. It's got mud on it and don't wanna trap it there forever. So just take some quick detail or soapy water or something, just spray it, wipe it down. His is actually worn off a little bit, so I might even just take like, I don't know, paint marker, or we've got this quick dry acrylic paint, just spray over this surface just to keep that from getting worse. Cool. All right, so we're gonna cut the air dam just a little bit. I've already cut a little bit off here, but I'm gonna finish this cut straight across, pretty much right at this support member right there. And that'll give us room to mount up the mounting plates for the bumper. So you can do this however you want. Snips will do just fine, but if you want a cleaner cut, you can use an air saw. There we go. All right, so now what we're gonna do is bolt up the frame plates here. We've got two slots here, one here, one here. These are gonna meet up to the holes where we just took off the OEM crash bar. This third slot is gonna meet up to the support bracket that goes underneath, but we'll get to that one in just a couple minutes. I'm not gonna tighten this all the way just yet, just enough to where it'll sit about in the right spot. Cool. Same thing on the other side. All right, so same thing on this side. Just gonna start these bolts by hand, get them just finger tight. Cool. All right, so what we've decided to do is actually go ahead and pull the skid plate all the way off, get the bumper completely attached, and then we'll put it back on afterwards. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we've got our support brackets. This part's important. So your kit's gonna come with a lot of bolts. So your kit's gonna come with a bunch of these bolts and 4 of these bolts. And if you've got an aftermarket skid plate, we recommend either using these bolts or these longer bolts on the lower side of the support up through here, or reusing your OEM bolts. So we're just gonna slip a washer on this guy, and we're gonna fasten up the support bracket, attach it to this face here, and then keep all that loose until the end. We should be able to go ahead and fit the bumper into place. Just gonna loosely place this up here. This will go under the skid plate using our longer bolts here. And we don't need to tighten these all the way just yet, just getting started. All right, and then we'll put another bolt through there. We're gonna use one of our shorter bolts for that. Just gonna start these by hand. So this bumper is a bit heavy. It's about 120 pounds fully loaded. So it helps to have some friends to lift it up, or you can use a floor jack, but Sam and Joey are going to help me. I was thinking, I started to say Schaefer, and I was like, you are not Schaefer.
What's his nuts?
This guy that I've only been working with all day.
Yeah, I was like, it's not Schaefer. Sam and Joey, obviously. We'll start this from the top.
I kind of like that.
All right. All right. So the bumper is about 120 pounds fully loaded. So obviously that's a little heavy. So you can use a floor jack, or you can get Sam and Joey to help lift it up into place.
Us specifically.
Only you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam or Joe. If you don't have a Sam or Joey, you can't get this. They come in the pre-pack list.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
it's
exactly.
a drop-down menu.
So yeah, there'll be a separate box that'll come freight.
Wrapped up in a pallet.
Exactly. So
It might smell kind of weird. It's on the outside.
and then, so if you're body lifted, you'll go to this top hole, but we're not body lifted, so we're gonna go to the second from the top. We come in relatively quick here. All right. Sorry. All right, and it should be able to rest now.
And then you can send your Joey and your Sam back to Z1.
Provided with label.
So you can see the bumper's resting here. It's not tightened down, and that's intentional. You know, as we fit the OEM plastic bumper back on, we're gonna set the position of it left to right, up, down, all that good stuff. So now is a great time to install your light bar if you've got that, winch if you've got that. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're about ready to disassemble the front section of the front bumper, and to keep from scratching up the front bumper, we're actually gonna take the packing material that came in our box and just lay it out and set the bumper down on that, pop the clips and pull out that center section. This might work. So you can see there's just a bunch of clips on the backside here, which we will disconnect, starting with this one and this bolt right here. Actually, got a 10 mil there. Cool. So we will set this back down on our paper here. So you can see here we've got the lip where those clips that we just undid button into, and we're just gonna cut this off. You know, we're gonna be patient, careful while we're doing it, but this is gonna get covered up, so don't worry too much. You know, just be patient, and it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so to cut off this lip where the clips that we just undid button into, I'm just gonna use an air saw, like a little body saw, and run along this edge. You could also use like a die grinder, whatever you think is the best tool for the job. You know, we're gonna be real patient while we're doing this. You know, we don't wanna mess it up, but the good news is since bumper sits right here anyways, most of this should get covered up. So don't stress too much, just be patient, be careful, and it should be straightforward. I'm gonna do this in sections to make it a little bit easier instead of trying to do it all at once. So first thing I'm gonna do is split right here, and then I'm gonna follow this edge up to that point. So. All right, so we just got first little section cut off. I'm not going super aggressive. I'm, you know, trying to get as close as I can, but erring on the side of caution because we can always remove more material, but we can't add material back. So what we're gonna do is get it as close as we can and then file down the last little bits with just a file or a sand paper or something like that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and finish up the rest of our cuts and then we'll smooth it all out. So we just finished cutting off the lip, and like I said, we were pretty conservative, you know, trying to cut close but not too close so we can remove a bit more material. So what I'm going to do is take the die grinder with a Scotch-Brite pad, or you can just do this with sandpaper with a file. I'm going to remove a bit more material and then smooth it out by hand at the very end. Got a Scotch-Brite pad on here, nothing too aggressive, and basically so we just got done trimming the bumper, and now we're ready to test fit it. So we're going to put it back on the truck, set it over, of course, the steel bumper, and then set the position of the steel bumper to make sure it fits really well in that slot that we just cut. So we'll get to that now. Joey's holding the bumper in the position where we want it, and I'm going to reach in with an impact or ratchet, socket, wrench, whatever combination you want to use, as long as you got 224s, and we're going to tighten this up in place to get it to hold its position, double check that it still looks right, and then tighten up the rest of it. All right, so we just set the position of the bumper, and you could just reach in and tighten up the last bolts going into the frame. So we tightened up the 16mm bolts, the bigger ones, you know, and set the height of it, I guess, the pitch. We have the position, I guess, left to right set that we want, but it's not tight yet. So I could just reach in there, you know, with a wrench and a socket and tighten those up. Or we can pull the bumper off and tighten it up. So it'll be a little bit easier for you guys to see it that way. So we're going to pull the bumper back off, show us tightening those bolts, and then we'll install everything back together. So we got our 19mm socket on our ratchet, and I'm just going to tighten these up. All right, so Joey and I are gonna put the bumper back on, and this should be the last time until we install our Assault upgrade, but for now, we'll go ahead and fit it back on and see how it looks. Sometimes you kind of have to just punch it. So we're putting these clips back in. Last one over here. If for whatever reason these don't line up, you can either stretch it into place, or there's bolts that hold these brackets on, or I guess nuts rather, and you can do it that way. Yeah, I think we're ready to go ahead and finish buttoning it back up. We'll put the skid plate back on next, then we'll do our fender liners, grill, and see how it looks. So now that we've got the bumper installed, we're going to go ahead and install the sonar relocation, or radar relocation. So I'm going to basically assemble this bracket, how you see it here, and then I've got nuts and bolts that will go straight onto these holes. If you've got the active grill shutters here, that's no problem. You'll just trim a little bit of the rubber boot just to fit this, and that's the only modification. That's going to be a 5mm Allen head and I think a 13 nut. So for this bracket, you can see it's adjustable up, down. This is going to vary based on everyone's truck, and there is some chance you might have to have it recalibrated afterwards. But you know, depending on how your truck is lifted, you're going to want to try and set this basically pointing straight out. So we're going to do that. These guys right here are going to get it pretty much out, but we will probably have to adjust this and play with it. Alright, so we got our radar sensor from earlier, and we've got those same nuts, so we'll put that on there. So now that the radar is reinstalled, we'll just plug it right back in. We'll pull the wire out. You might have to buy yourself a little slack. If you need more slack, you can disconnect this pin down here, but should be able to reach just like that. All right, so you can see we've got our bumper installed, radar relocated, and now we just got to put it all back together. So that'll be the fender liners, the grill, fender flares if you took them off. So we'll get to it. Being explained. Okay, sweet. Oh, weird. All right, so you can see the fender liner hangs down just a little bit lower than the bumper. We've got a little bit of added clearance here, so we're just gonna accommodate by cutting off this last little bit of the fender liner, and we should be good. All right, guys, so we've got everything buttoned back up, and we are just about ready to put our skid butt. All right, one more time. All right, guys, so we just buttoned everything up and we're ready to put our skid plate back on. Now, the Z1 Off-Road current skid plate is designed to integrate really well with the OEM crash structure, and it's got a retaining feature for the plastic bumper that was right here. Now, since we don't have a plastic bumper anymore, we went ahead and chopped that off, and we're gonna just put this back into place. We do have a steel version of this coming out that will integrate really well with more aftermarket solutions, aftermarket tow hooks, anything like that. So stay tuned for that, but in the meantime, we just chop this off and it should fit right back on, so. All right, guys, so you can see we're done installing our Recon bumper on Sam's D41 Frontier. So stay tuned. In just a bit, we're going to upgrade this to the Assault bumper, but in the meantime, we're going to outfit this with some lighting, a winch, and get it ready for the trails. We're super happy with the end result, and if you want a Recon bumper for your D41 Frontier, check it out at z1offroad.com.